Our story begins when the protagonist talks about an extremely popular fantasy novel, one of those stories that everyone knows and loves. The book revolves around Elira, the beautiful daughter of Duke Aederon and Prince Cailan, the rightful heir to the kingdom and the perfect image of a classic hero. The protagonist did not originally belong to this magical world. His real life was fairly ordinary. His job was to sell copies of this beloved novel, until one day, in the most absurd way possible, his life comes to an abrupt end when he is struck by a massive carriage known as Trucon. When he opens his eyes again, he expects darkness, but instead, he finds himself staring at a familiar face. It's Elira, the heroine of the novel. She looks relieved and genuinely happy to see him safe, as if his well-being truly matters to her. The protagonist is completely confused, unable to understand why such an important character would care about someone like him. Slowly, reality sets in. He has reincarnated inside the world of the novel. However, not as the prince, not as a hidden hero, not as someone destined to change the world. He is now Loneal Gravis, a minor noble, a background character with no real importance, someone designed to fade away without leaving a trace. And that's where the real problem begins. The protagonist clearly remembers who Loneal Gravis was in the original story. He was Elira's childhood friend, yes, but also someone with twisted intentions. His actions were meant to trigger Prince Cailan's intervention, allowing the prince to rescue Elira and erase Leon from the story entirely. Knowing this, the protagonist makes a firm decision. He will change Leon's fate and make sure he never becomes that kind of person. Sometime later, a grand academy ball takes place. The protagonist attends and watches from afar as Elira and Prince Cailan dance together. They look flawless, as if the world itself was designed to place them side by side. Cailan is charming, elegant, and perfectly fits the role of the ideal prince. Elira shines with an almost unreal beauty. After hours of dancing, however, Elira grows tired and dizzy. Seeking support, she turns to Leon. Acting as a responsible friend, the protagonist decides to take her somewhere quiet so she can rest. What he doesn't notice is that Prince Cailan is watching everything from a distance. Leon leads Elira to a private room where she can sit and recover. Everything seems fine, until a single moment of clumsiness changes everything. Leon trips and falls at the worst possible time. Before he can explain, the door bursts open. Prince Cailan storms in. Furious and convinced he has witnessed something unforgivable, the prince demands an explanation. Panic takes over the protagonist. He cannot allow the story to follow its original path. Acting on impulse, he releases a strange substance he was carrying into the air. The effect is immediate. Prince Cailan's behavior changes drastically. He begins speaking with overwhelming intensity, stepping far too close, expressing emotions he had never shown before. The protagonist freezes, confused, overwhelmed, and for a brief moment, affected by the closeness. But then he remembers Elira is still there. Crushed by guilt, he pushes the prince away and declares that everything happening is wrong. That's when he realizes the truth. He has altered the story beyond repair. From that point on, the novel is no longer a simple destined romance. It becomes something entirely different. The next day, Leon desperately searches for a way to fix his mistake. He digs through his character's notes, hoping to find an antidote, only to face a harsh truth. He cannot use magic. He does not truly belong to this world. He has no time to learn, and to make things worse, the prince refuses to leave his side. Leon tries to set boundaries, explaining that nothing can happen between them, but Cailan takes it as a challenge. He insists on taking Leon on a proper date, complete with a carriage ride. Against all expectations, the protagonist enjoys it. Exploring the kingdom he once only knew through pages makes him feel deeply connected to this world. They visit a magical pharmacy, but ironically, the one place meant to cure everything lacks the one thing Leon needs. Later, they stop at a jewelry store where Callan buys a necklace Leon had been admiring. He gently places it around Leon's neck and asks him to remember him whenever he looks at it. The gesture leaves the protagonist shaken, especially when Callan mentions breaking off his engagement with Elira. Terrified, Leon begs him not to. The weight of guilt grows heavier. Determined to fix everything, Leon decides to search for the antidote himself. While exploring, he is ambushed by a suspicious figure who reminds him that he is an enemy of the prince. Just as the situation worsens, Callan arrives and drives the attacker away with his power. They take refuge in a secluded cabin. As rain pours outside, Leon loses the necklace and rushes out to find it. Callan follows him, and when Leon is about to confess the truth about his origins, the prince stops him with a heartfelt promise. No matter who he is, or where he comes from, his feelings will never change. Back at the academy, Leon remembers something crucial. In the original story, Elira was meant to awaken holy powers through the prince's love. But that isn't happening. Helping to force the story back on track, Leon organizes a picnic with both Elira and Callan. However, the tension is unmistakable. Callan's attention never leaves Leon, and Elira quietly steps away, understanding without words that she doesn't belong in that bond. New characters appear, such as Zarin, whose closeness sparks intense jealousy from the prince, and Noelle, who reminds Leon of his duties within a potion club. Despite lacking magic, Leon works tirelessly alongside Callan. During a trip to the forest, a sudden attack leaves the prince severely injured. Leon compares himself to Elira and feels useless. But remembering Callan's words, how he always believed in him, something awakens inside Leon. A mysterious power emerges and heals the prince. The final truth is revealed when Zarin discovers that the so-called love potion was never a love potion at all. It was merely a courage enhancer, something that gives people the confidence to confess feelings they already have. Which means only one thing. Prince Callan was always in love with Leon. The destiny of the story was never broken. It was simply revealed. This story reminds us that true love doesn't follow predetermined scripts. It doesn't care about labels or expectations. Sometimes, all it takes is the courage to accept what has always been there. If you enjoy fantasy stories filled with emotion, vulnerability, and romances that break the mold, this anime is absolutely worth your time.